Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next half an hour. India's global outreach on Operation Sindoor continues. All party delegations engage with key leaders of multiple nations, highlighting India's battle against terrorism. In a bid to strengthen integrated operations of armed forces, Government of India notifies rules under Inter-Services Organizations Act. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky arrives in Berlin for talks with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. And US halts student visa appointments, plans social media vetting of candidates, move a part of Trump's wide-ranging efforts to enforce strict immigration agenda. A very good evening to all the viewers joining us at this evening broadcast. To begin with the latest, New Delhi's message of zero tolerance against terrorism is echoing worldwide, with India's multi-party delegations holding back-to-back interactions with the world leaders, parliamentarians, think tanks, media and civil society in different countries to further unmask Pakistan's cross-border terrorism. An all-party delegation led by DMK MP Kadimodi Karunanidhi on Wednesday held extensive consultations with increase this afternoon with Deputy Minister Tassos and Skepmeperis, who is the Director of the Diplomatic Cabinet of the Deputy Foreign Minister. The delegation also held a meeting with Professor Maria, Director General of Hellenic Foundation for European and Foreign Policy, along with other delegates from the foundation. The delegation is putting forward India's point of view to the world and also exposing Pakistan's terror camps and terrorist activities.
We're happy to receive the parliamentary delegation. Obviously, they will enlighten us and in their meetings, wherever they go and whoever they meet, they will give us the dimensions of things from the Indian perspective, which we're very close to. Greece is always supporting India.
Earlier, the delegation commenced its official engagements with a meeting involving members of the Hellenic Parliamentary Committee on Defence and Foreign Affairs, as well as the Greece-India Friendship Group. The DMK MP was also presented with a token from the Greek delegation. The all-party delegation, led by BJP MP Ravi Prasad, is in Italy's Rome on the second leg of multi-nation visit on Wednesday. In Rome, the delegation began their engagements with a briefing from Indian Ambassador to Italy, Vani Rao. Further, the Indian delegation met Senator Stefania, head of the Senate's Foreign Affairs and Defence Committee. The delegation briefed about India's united stance against terrorism in all its forms and zero tolerance against cross-border terrorism. The senator also stated that we should speak in one voice against terrorism and proposed India-Italy cooperation. Who is the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia. It was conveyed that the attack on innocent civilians at Pahalgam was an attempt to disrupt peace and drive a wedge between the communities. Indonesian side reiterated its condemnation of the terrorist attack and extended support in the fight against terrorism in all possible forums. Another multi-party delegation led by BJP MP Bijayan Jayapanda is in Saudi Arabia on the third leg of their four-nation visit. The delegation was received by Major General Abdul Rahman Al Harbi, who is the chairman of Saudi-India Friendship Committee in Riyadh. The delegation delivered India's unwavering stance to Saudi leaders, fostering growth, partnership and cooperation. Both the nations stand strong against terrorism. The delegation paid floral tribute to Mahatma Gandhi statue at the Embassy of India in Riyadh. The all-party delegation led by Member of Indian Parliament Supriya Sule continued their engagements in South Africa. The delegation was welcomed and received by Consul General Ruby Jaspreet at Cape Town for a meeting with various ministers and parliamentarians of South Africa. The parliamentary delegation met Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Province of South Africa. The delegation members explained the backgrounds of terrorist incidents in India, including the recent Pahalgam attack, and conveyed India's united message of zero tolerance for terrorism. Moving on, as diplomatic efforts to end conflict in Ukraine continues, President Volodymyr Zelensky arrives in Berlin for talks with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. The two leaders will focus on German support for Ukraine as well as efforts to achieve a ceasefire. With Donald Trump signaling wavering support for Ukraine in the recent month, Germany could play an increasingly important role as Ukraine's biggest military and financial backer after the United States. Earlier on Monday, German Chancellor had endorsed Ukraine's right to launch long-range missile strikes into Russian territory. And in the latest on Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia will soon announce the next round of direct talks between the two nations. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Wednesday asserted that the neutral status of Ukraine remains one of Russia's key demands in peace negotiations.
The direct talks and solutions of all issues has resumed on May 16 in Istanbul. We were ready for this for a long time, but Ukraine refused to do so, and its masters in person of present leadership of Europe did not allow it to join this process. During this talks dated May 16th in Istanbul, when they had resumed, we insisted on cancellation of all those discriminatory laws. We will continue to do so during the next round of direct talks, which we will announce in the nearest future.
So there you saw that Russia says a neutral status would be the key agenda when the talks will be happening. The date is yet to be confirmed, but for now, Zelensky is in Berlin for his meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, and we will be getting you more on this with our correspondent who would be joining us in a short while from now, straight from Berlin. There you can see the visuals of Volodymyr Zelensky arriving in Berlin for his talks with Chancellor Friedrich Merz. And for more, we are joined by Thomas Sparrow, correspondent with our partner Deutsche Welle in Berlin. Good evening, Thomas. When we talk about this meeting, what is there on the agenda?
It's been a rainy welcome for Zelensky here in Berlin, as you can probably see behind me. But it's nevertheless a very important welcome as far as both Germany and Ukraine are concerned. This is the first visit of Volodymyr Zelensky to Berlin since Germany has a new government, since Germany has a new Chancellor, Friedrich Merz. And specifically on the agenda is that reinforcement of the support that comes from Germany and from other European countries towards Ukraine. And when we're talking about support, it's not only military support, which obviously often has most of the headlines, but it's also about political and economic support. And as such, Volodymyr Zelensky here in Berlin is not only meeting with Friedrich Merz, who's Germany's head of government, but also with Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who's Germany's president, so Germany's head of state, as well as business representatives. It's been, as it's always the case, an important visit by Zelensky, but it comes at a very urgent time as well, when there's a lot of discussion internationally as to what needs to be done to put an end to the war in Ukraine.
Also, what kind of a role is Germany looking at as far as backing Ukraine in its ongoing conflict with Russia, which is concerned?
A strong role, that's for sure. A stronger role than, let's say, in the past with other governments, but obviously a role which is also part of the wider European community. In the past, Germany was criticized, specifically the German government, for not supporting Ukraine enough when it came to its military demands. It was something that was very evident at the beginning of the war. But since Germany has stepped up its military support of Ukraine, And the new government under Friedrich Merz has clearly indicated that it wants to continue supporting Ukraine for as long as it needs, but that it wants to do it hand in hand with other European partners. And that explains why, in recent days, Merz, alongside other European partners, actually traveled to Kiev. That was a sign that Germany wants to work together with other European countries when it comes to this support of Ukraine.
Also, Germany has been supporting the use of long-range missiles by Ukraine against Russia. So is Germany also expected to announce new weapons delivery to Ukraine?
It's not clear what, if any, new announcements will come on that regard. But what is clear is that there has been a change in Germany's position also in this regard. Germany, especially at the beginning of the war, was very reluctant to send any kind of wide-ranging military devices to Ukraine. And however, since Friedrich Merz became German Chancellor, he stressed that there are no longer any range restrictions to the weapons that are delivered from Berlin. This is something that has been strongly criticized by Russia, who considers it to be a dangerous move from Berlin and other European capitals. So it's important to understand this process that has happened, this change that is happening, and it will obviously be very interesting to see what kind of announcements come out of this meeting here in Berlin today.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Thomas Sparrow, for joining us and bringing us the latest information. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Russian President Vladimir Putin was playing with fire. Now, Trump's latest comments follow some of the biggest drone and missile attacks on Ukraine since the conflict began in early 2022. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said what Vladimir Putin does not realize is that if it were not for him, lots of really bad things would have already happened to Russia. Responding to Trump's remark on Putin, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Russian President Vladimir Putin puts national interests first. Peskov also said that Moscow is thankful for Trump's mediation efforts and will continue contacts with Washington. As Tehran and Washington prepare for a sixth round of talks to resolve a decade-long dispute over Iran's nuclear program, Iran's nuclear chief has said the country might allow the United Nations atomic watchdog to send US inspectors to Iranian sites if the talks succeed. Take a listen.
In the current nuclear negotiation conditions, if certain issues are raised, agreements are made, and Iran's demands are considered, we are open to reconsidering allowing American inspectors through the UN nuclear agency IAEA at that time.
We're heading for a short break, but still to come on DD India Live. Up next, we'll get you all the latest on India's Foreign Secretary's visit to USA. United Nations reports a 70% chance of global warming exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. And in sports, Indian athlete Tejaswin Shankar wins silver medal at decathlon at the ongoing Asian Athletics Championship.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Now, the Indian government has officially notified the rules under Inter-Services Organizations Command, Control and Discipline Act 2023 through a Gazette notification that has already come into effect on the 27th of May this year. With the notification of these rules, the Act is now fully operational. This aims to bolster effective command, control and efficient functioning of ISOs, thereby strengthening jointness among the armed forces. The Act empowers the Commanders-in-Chief and Officers in Command of the ISOs to exercise command and control over the service personnel serving under them, ensuring effective maintenance of discipline and administration within the organizations. Now, this is achieved without altering the unique service conditions applicable to each branch of the armed forces. This will further empower the heads of the ISOs and enable the expeditious disposal of disciplinary cases and help avoid the duplication of proceedings as well. Moving on, India's Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on Wednesday approved the increase in the minimum support prices MSP for 14 Kharif crops for marketing season 2025-26. Briefing the media in New Delhi, Information and Broadcasting Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said the government has increased the MSP of Kharif crops for marketing season 2025-26 to ensure remunerative prices to the growers for their produce.
खरीफ के लिए किसानों के लिए बहुत बड़ा एक फैसला लिया गया है। आप सब जानते हैं कि खरीफ की फसल में जिस तरह से पिछले 10-11 वर्षों में मैसिव वृद्धि की गई है एमएसपी की, उसी कड़ी में सीएसीपी की रिपोर्ट पर 2025-26 के खरीफ मार्केटिंग सीजन के लिए कैबिनेट में एमएसपी अप्रूव हुआ है। टोटल अमाउंट इसका 2,07,000 करोड़ के आसपास का एस्टिमेट किया गया है और जैसा कि प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने प्रतिबद्धता दिखाई है किसानों को उनकी कॉस्ट के ऊपर 50% मिनिमम मार्जिन मिले, कम से कम मार्जिन मिले, उसका ध्यान रखा गया है।
India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri is on the US visit till the 29th of May. And during his visit, he met US Under-Secretary Jeffrey Kessler, discussed India and US cooperation in critical and emerging technologies. They also discussed early convening of the India-US Strategic Trade Dialogue to deepen tech and trade collaboration. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's visit is a follow-up to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States back in the month February in the current year, when both the sides had launched the India-US Compact, which means catalyzing opportunities for military partnership, accelerated commerce and technology for the 21st century. Compact is a 10-year roadmap to elevate the US-India major defense partnership, enabling co-production and joint development of critical military platforms. Polish Foreign Minister, who is visiting Sri Lanka, met his Sri Lankan counterpart Vijita Herath on Wednesday. On the 1st of January, Poland assumed the presidency of the Council of the European Union, and Colombo is hoping the visit will help with Sri Lanka's push to retain the GSP plus preferential trade facility given by the European Union. During his visit, Sikorski will visit and meet President Anura Kumara Dissanayake and Prime Minister Harini Amarasuriya on Thursday for talks. France and Indonesia on Wednesday signed a preliminary defense pact that could lead to new orders of military equipment from Paris, including Rafale fighter jets and Scorpene submarines. In the year 2022, the two countries signed an $8.1 billion defense deal that included an order for 42 Rafale fighter aircraft made by France's Dassault Aviation AMPA, as well as a series of agreements including submarine development and ammunition. Earlier, Macron met Prabowo Subianto at the presidential palace in the capital, Jakarta, hailing their country's close relationship after being greeted by a guard of honor, gun salute and thousands of young Indonesians waving French flags. The French president will later meet investors and students and attend a state dinner. On Thursday, he will travel to Yogyakarta on Indonesia's Java island to visit the world's largest Buddhist temple before heading to Singapore to conclude his 6-day visit. Moving on, President Donald Trump's administration has ordered U.S. missions abroad to stop scheduling new student and exchange visitor visa appointments as the State Department plans is now expanding vetting of applicants' social media profiles. Secretary of State Marco Rubio updated guidance on vetting would be issued after a review once completed. However, already scheduled appointments can proceed. Now, this move is part of the administration's broader efforts to tighten immigration policies, including ramping up deportations and targeting student visas. The expanded social media vetting will change how consular sections operate, with a focus on the resources needed for each of the cases. The administration also links students' visa holder support for Palestinians or criticism of Israel to potential deportation, accusing them of threatening U.S. foreign policy. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is planning to cancel all remaining federal contracts with Harvard University, which are valued at around $100 billion. The U.S. General Services Administration has sent a letter to the federal agencies directing them to review and potentially terminate or reallocate these contracts. Now, this move follows the administration's broader push against Harvard, including cancelling nearly $3 billion in federal research grants and attempting to revoke the university's ability to enroll international students. A federal judge temporarily blocked this move, but the administration has also stopped scheduling new student and exchange visitor visa appointments. Several hundred protesters, including Harvard University students and professors, demonstrated in support of foreign students at the Harvard campus on Tuesday, while also protesting Trump administration efforts to cut off funding to the university. Moving on. The United Nations World Meteorological Organization on Wednesday reported a 70% chance that global warming will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels between 2025 and 29, following record heat in 2023 and 24. The WMO's annual climate report, compiled by the UK's Met Office, projects annual temperatures to rise between 1.2 degrees Celsius and 1.9 degrees Celsius during this period, with an 80% likelihood of a new record warmest year. The report also notes a 1% chance of exceeding 2 degrees Celsius in 1 year. WMO's co-parrot highlighted worsening impacts on economies and ecosystems, while experts like Frederick Otto criticized continued reliance on fossil fuels amid global climate crisis. You're watching DD India Live, and now it's time to take a look at other stories making news around the globe. SpaceX's latest attempt to test its Starship mega rocket ended in failure on Tuesday when the spacecraft lost control and exploded mid-flight over the Indian Ocean. According to SpaceX CEO Elon Musk, despite the setback, the rocket managed to reach its scheduled ship engine cutoff before disassembling. A ninth test flight saw the rocket roar into space without blowing up. In a first-of-its-kind intercontinental journey, a crew navigated the Candela C8, a flying electric boat, across the Strait of Gibraltar. The boat covered the 24 nautical mile journey from Spain in just over an hour. Each year, on the 28th of May, Turkmenistan celebrates Turkmen Carpet Day, a significant national holiday honoring the Turkmen carpet. The main event of this day is the carpet exhibition, which takes place in the National Museum of Turkmen Carpet. As part of the holiday, carpet masters are also presented with state awards. High-ranking officials are present at the event, including the chairman of the Mejlis of Turkmenistan, heads of ministries and foreign diplomats as well. And now let's get you the latest from the world of sports. To begin with athletics first. Indian athlete Tejaswin Shankar on Wednesday became the first Indian to win 2 medals at decathlon at the Asian Athletics Championship in South Korea. Tejaswin, who holds the national record in the event, finished with 7,618 points to claim a silver medal at the edition, adding to his bronze from the 2023 edition. Going into the 1500-meter race, the final event of the decathlon, Tejaswin stood third in the standings, earning 693 points, which lifted him to the silver medal. His silver was India's 7th medal at the 2025 Asian Athletics Championship. In soccer, Barcelona's teenage sensation Lamine Yamal has signed a contract extension that will keep him at the Spanish club until the year 2031. The 17-year-old helped Barcelona win La Liga and the Copa del Rey with 18 goals and 25 assists in 55 matches. The Spanish international could become Barcelona squad's highest paid player if he meets certain performance-related clauses. After a stunning season, Yamal is also a leading contender for this year's Ballon d'Or. Staying on soccer, Chelsea is all set to face Real Betis in UEFA Conference League final on Thursday. Chelsea have already clinched a Champions League spot for next season. Having already won Champions League, Europa League and European Cup, Chelsea has a chance to become the first team to bag all 4 major UEFA club knockout honours. Chelsea manager said that winning the Conference League title will prove that his side belong at the top.
No, yeah, I said a few times during the season that for me was already a good season for different reasons and can become a very good season if we finish top 4, top 5 and if we are able to win the final tomorrow. The first target is there, we achieved that last Sunday and hopefully we can achieve tomorrow the second one.
And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.